Hello, good morning.
Would you butter a couple of rolls for me there, please?
I could try the peanut butter.
What kind of gum you chewing?
My breath stinks.
Excuse me?
Fly by night, go away from here.
They put you in the tent, Los. Sorry about that.
What are we doing?
Very disturbing. Spring daydreaming with Keith Costas. We went through the NL Central, and now we've landed in the American League Central Division, starting with the Twins.
Yep, apologies to Carlos and the entire Pena family for putting him in the tent there. It had to be done, though, for this segment. You said it, Maddie. We'll go to the Twins in the AL Central. And I haven't done much with the Major League roster this offseason so far. Justin Topa, Anthony DeSclafani, the recent additions that we've touched on. So it's really guys that were there last year that could possibly step up. This first guy, Carlos Correa, could have been in our segment earlier on bounce-back candidates. You see the numbers over the last 2 seasons. We know he had all the drama with the contract last offseason, ended up re-signing 6 years, $200 million with the Twins. Almost the same number of games and not the vintage Carlos Correa performance that we've become accustomed to. Not unlike Jose Abreu, who we discussed earlier in the show, though. He started to turn things around late in the season, went 9 for 22 in the playoffs. That's a .409 average, so started to look a little bit more like himself down the stretch. Now, another 1-1 that plays with him on the left side of the infield that busted out last season. Been waiting for this guy for a while, and he showed up in a big way. This is Royce Lewis' career so far, includes a little time in 2022 as well. First 70 games, most home runs and most RBIs through 70 games in Twins history. Obviously, we saw him big in the postseason. 5 hits, 4 of them left the yard in October. Staying on the infield now, guys, we know they moved Jorge Polanco. That opens up a spot for Edward Julian. Now, the thing with him is almost 90% of his plate appearances last year came with the platoon advantage. Kyle Farmer was a nice platoon partner for him at second base. Will we potentially get to see more of Julian across the board, not just against right-handed pitching? And another guy who probably flew under the radar, if you're not following the AL Central on a day-in, day-out basis, Ryan Jeffers, arguably the best offensive catcher in the game last year. This is among players who caught at least 50 games, and 858 OPS for Jeffers. And now, Maddie, you take a look at the odds for these division favorites. This caught me off guard a little bit. Minus 130 for Minnesota? It feels like the way we've been discussing the American League Central, it's a little more wide open than that number might suggest. So how do we feel about the Twins, guys? And Maddie, specifically, how do you feel about that number, minus 130, given the improvements some of the other teams in the division have made?
Yeah, I don't know that I would have installed any team as that chalky to win the division, because as we've discussed a lot, Keith, and this is what you're intimating, Tigers are going to be better, the Royals are going to be better, the White Sox are kind of an unknown. Like, this division has a lot of different moving parts, and still with all the unsigned players, I mean, these numbers could move based on the rest of the free agency too. I don't know where I had the Twins, because losing Gray hurts. We forget that they were without some big players last year too. You mentioned some of the Correa injury troubles. I mean, Jose Miranda played 40 games. He has lost all year because of the shoulder injury he suffered. So they should both be back this year, and they're going to be okay offensively. I just don't have a real feel for the division in general. Here's an advanced look at their lineup.
How many times have we done this segment before, Maddie, where we dreamed on Byron Buxton? You know, it kind of is what it is at this point. You don't know how long he's going to stay on the field, but they're going to try him in center again. Obviously, he's a big wild card.
I will say this, though. If Royce Lewis is even half as good as he was last year when he caught fire in August, I mean, my goodness, the Grand Slam binge this guy went on, he was a one-man wrecking crew from August on.
Well, you got to love that stroke right there. That's how he stays behind the ball so well, Maddie. Obviously, he's got a light tower power. But as far as the whole entire lineup is concerned, it's going to depend on how well the Twins do. It's going to depend on health and then them playing up to their potential, right? Because when you look at the lineup, you're like, okay, they should be able to score a lot of runs, but are they going to be able to play up to their potential? Health plays a lot into it, of course, when we talk about Buxton, even Carlos Correa. But they're saying that they're healthy. Buxton is extremely excited to play center field. We know what he can do out there, but when he's healthy, he's one of the most exciting players in all of baseball.
Yeah.
So it's all about who's in the roster already or was in the roster already. Can they play up to what they're capable of doing?
I think you could say the same thing for the Cincinnati Reds. And Keith, as we thank you for the Twins breakdown,